Alrighty, yo, what is up, Knights? AegisRick here, bringing you guys a video I probably should have done a long time ago, and that, guys, is a tier list video. And in this case, we're going to be talking about the most fun characters listed in a tier kind of format. Of course, I shouldn't have to say this, but this is AegisRick's tier list. Okay, your tier list will look vastly different than mine, I'm sure. What you and I consider fun are going to be different, and that's obviously going to determine where you're going to put your character on this tier list. But I want to give you guys this video because I'm going to be slowing down, obviously, like I mentioned in my first video this year. I'm going to be slowing down on the Crash video, so I'm not going to be able to do all of the pros and cons, but just something a little bit about myself, guys. If you guys haven't caught me on the stream and you guys have only seen me on YouTube, I actually am a pretty big altaholic. I actually have played and have every character maximum level 100, and each of them has at the very least, a level 100 unique set. A lot of them have epic weapons. Every single one of them has their swap set. Every single one of them has an avatar, and you know, guys, I have devoted a lot of time in this game. So just have you know, I've had a lot of time to play all these characters, and I have developed a lot of opinions on them. And so I think I'm going to be able to easily rank what I find to be the most fun characters, and hopefully you guys can see kind of why I put the characters where I put them. Now, let me explain what I consider fun in a character. Now, first and foremost, guys, a lot of you guys already know, I appreciate a very high skill ceiling, okay? Every character in this game needs to get geared to some extent, and that's how you're going to do most of your damage. But when you get past that, another aspect of a character that you have is proficiency at piloting the character. How well do you control the character? And the higher the skill ceiling, the more fun I think it is for me. I like being able to progress in my character in a way that isn't really tied to the game itself. It's just how well you can control the character. And some characters, really, you can perform at maximum ability really easily. I'm talking within the first couple days that you play a character. Some rando can come off the street and play some of these characters in DFO and be able to do just as well as somebody who's played the character for many, many years. And that's kind of, I don't like that aspect of it. I want the guy who's played for many years and who's gotten really good with their character to be better than other people who are just amateurs at the game. So I would say more than half of the characters in this game, you can't say that about. I mean, I think they're pretty brain dead easy, to be honest, and there are a very select few that really do require that mastery. Another thing that I really like, guys, is if you're going to be a press skill kill type of character, at least I hope that it's going to be something that's fluid and fast. And so a lot of the characters that are like, even though they might be easy to play, at least you're not, you know, really slow and lumbering. I really like the faster type characters where you can just kind of unload all your skills if you have the ability to. And a lot of the characters that I like, I have noticed just looking at this tier list that they do kind of fall into that category. They're not that hard to play, but they're really fun and flashy, and I kind of like pressing buttons, I guess you could say. Now, let me explain the tier list a little bit, guys. Obviously, we have S, A, B, and C. That's kind of my ranking. After that, though, we start getting into this weird category, okay? So the first one there is, I respect it, but I just don't like it, okay? So that's basically that tier where I say, okay, there's something I understand why people like this character. I just don't think it's for me, okay? But I respect it as a character. I can totally see, you know, any of these characters, you can probably put it in your S tier, and I would understand it. I'd be like, okay, that's fine. I just don't like it, but I can see why you like it. The one below that is, I respect the character, but I still think personally that I can argue that it shouldn't be higher on this list. I still think it's Garb, to be honest with you. So I respect it. I can understand why you play it, but I still would argue that it's garbage. And then lastly, guys, the last tier is just, I think they are completely garbage. Nothing can save these characters from just ultimate doom. I don't like them. I don't like them, and you can't convince me otherwise, and that's the last tier. Obviously, a lot of characters are going to fall in there, and don't get too pissed when you see your character in there, because the last thing I want to say before I go through this tier list, guys, is every single character in this game, all of them, are characters that are played by somebody in this game as their main number one, numero uno character, okay? They're gearing them up to the max, and they love playing it, obviously, because they geared them up to the max, and that's their main character. So don't take it personally when I shit talk your character, because everybody plays every one of these characters and they're all viable, okay? Don't take this tier list as something that, oh, because I put it in garbage tier, they're not viable. This is not a viability tier list, because everybody is viable, but this is a fun tier list, in particular my fun tier list. But I'm not going to reveal the whole thing at first, guys. We're going to go by section. Alrighty, guys, I've decided to go ahead and reveal the tier list in a very particular order. We're going to go ahead and start here at the middle of the road of the tier list, and then then we'll get out to the extremities. Is your character going to be in the S tier? Is it going to be in the garbage low tier? Who knows? Okay, I've also gone ahead and ordered these in a particular order from least to greatest, and I'll be revealing them in that order. But anyway, guys, first, milquetoast character, basically on the border of I like it, but maybe not. The first milquetoast character, the least one, is going to be the female Nen. Now, the female Nen is a little bit fun because she has a little bit of a charge mechanic, and that tiny charge mechanic is the one thing that I find kind of fun about her, is where she can kind of maintain these kind of circles, and now you got to maintain those circles while you're playing, and you also can set up skills with Doppelganger, and she has her first awakening, at least back when you actually used it. First and second awakening were such a 1-2 punch combo. She was really burst heavy, and she can unload all of her skills all at once with a tiny charge mechanic, and I think that was kind of fun. You know, I'm gonna have Paladin somewhere on this list, and they kind of play similar, but that one little difference is all that it takes to make that character just better and more fun to play, in my opinion. She also has a Tiger Flash as well, which changes her basic attack and also makes it super viable. So yeah, I think she's a middle of the road character, just, you know, not too fun, but not too bad either. Next after that is going to be the male Nen, okay? I do rank the male Nen a little bit higher than the F Nen. He also plays very similarly. He doesn't really have a charge mechanic, but he really focuses on getting in people's faces and using that Tiger Flash, like I mentioned earlier, and using different skills, like the Nen shot. He's going to be using that a lot more, and he's a lot more in your face. Very similar to the female brawler, which I put higher on this list, and obviously I'm going to tell you that right now. I put higher on the list. Very similar, but, you know, I can see why a lot of people kind of like him more. But, you know, I kind of find him average tier fun of character to play. I also like using the Nen guard defensively. It's one of those tiny nuances that can really change a lot of things and make you play even more aggressively, which is kind of his whole thing. Okay, the next three characters I'm just going to reveal right here because they're kind of similarly placed in this order. I'm going to put female Crusader, followed by Enchantress, followed by the male Satyr in that order. I don't think that the Satyrs are garbage characters. Like, I don't think that they're not fun to play, but I also don't find them to be terribly awesome to play either. I'm kind of ranking them about the same. The female Satyr she's just a brain dead Satyr. If you want to just play a Satyr and just buff your team, that's the one you play, and she has nothing to worry about because she just has no systems at all. The Enchantress, I would say, is the most versatile of all the Satyrs because she has a lot of different options that she can play with her doll mechanic, and you just have to manage that, which isn't so hard nowadays. You know, you have 3 different skills that can build those up, and then you can kind of use those skills. She's very versatile, and she can do basically everything really, really well, especially Resurrection if your team is trash. And lastly, guys, the male Satyr. He is a very hand-wavy type of Satyr. He just does a lot of all this BS, and you might not understand the language of male Satyr as he's casting all these buffs, but it's kind of fun to do that. It's kind of fun to manage that, especially your Ascension stacks. It's kind of fun managing that, but it's also kind of busy work that Enchantress and female Satyr don't even have to think about. So it's kind of like, is it fun? Well, if you kind of like it. He is also the only character of all the Satyrs that actually has a battle mode, so you don't always have to go that full buff mode. You actually have a full battle mode, committed battle mode, which I kind of wish that the other Satyrs had, especially considering they're going into anyway. So they should have a better battle mode, but battle Satyr, that's why I have them on the top of these Satyr list here. Next after that, though, guys, is going to be the female Spitfire. Now, I know a lot of people really, really like this character, and it's because of that I've kind of put her as a middle of the road because I don't really find it that bad. I think it's okay. I think there are better aerial characters in this game, and you guys probably already know which one I'm thinking of, but she plays completely in the air. She jumps all the time. She has this jetpack, especially when she gets her third awakening. She's going to get like a legit jetpack and start flying around, dropping bombs all over the place. It's a very unique play style, okay? So that's kind of why I put her here. I think it's unique. I think it's kind of fun, and it is going to take a little bit getting used to, especially if you've played all these other characters. It's going to take a little bit getting used to just constantly be jumping all the time. That's all you have to do to really play this character, but you unload all of your skills so easily while you're in the air with this character. So it's kind of fun. I don't know if it has that lasting material to be able to play it for years on end, but I do think it's an interesting mechanic and better than most characters in this game. Next, guys, I'm going to put the Avenger on the list. The Avenger is such a weird character. I have deleted him the most times on my account because I've never really gotten him geared enough to really break that barrier of fun with him. I think you do need a little bit of gear with him. You need a lot of speed. You know, he's going to be in his demon transformation form at all times, and you need that speed to be able to get, you know, the most benefit out of it. He's one of those characters that I kind of like just because of how fast he is. His skills and stuff are not really all that complicated, but his speed and his augmented skills are kind of fun to do. The one cool technical thing that he has is his Demon Guard. He's able to actually cancel any skill that he has with the Demon Guard, and that one little mechanic, that one tiny mechanic to be able to cancel any of your skills. I'm talking, you can be even in the middle of your awakening and you can just cancel it. Boom, just cancel it and get the Demon Guard. I don't know the complete usage of that, but there is some technical, high skill ceiling type of stuff you can do by animation canceling and not going through the full animation of your skills. On top of just making it very safe, you can actually block through a lot of attacks. So that one thing is something worth mentioning on Avenger that makes him a lot more fun to play if you can manage that. Moving on though, guys, we have the Weapon Master, okay? The Weapon Master, you know, with the Third Awakening, they've kind of revitalized his flowing stance. So it kind of unlocked those skills again. Those skills, basically the Rise has been the only viable one. And I think now the other skills are a little bit more viable. You can use them more often and actually kill people with it. He also has the Secret Slayer technique, which is just kind of a skill you use in the interim and kind of augments your basic attack, so you can use it to kill trash mobs and not have to blow your other skills. But the one thing that really holds him back for me is just the abundance of duplicate skills. You know, skills like Draw Sword, he has them twice. Skills like Charge Crash and stuff, he has them twice. It's like kind of like lazy later skills. It's kind of like he's just like a generic press skill kill character after the flowing stance, which is a little bit of a shame. I wish he was a little bit more versatile than that, but you know, that's kind of why I have a middle of the road. I like flowing stance. I really think it's an awesome system. I wish it was even more expanded. You know, maybe have a different stance as well aside from flowing stance, and maybe that would have been it for me, but just flowing stance isn't enough to get him out of this average C tier for me. Next, guys, is the Soulbender. Now, the Soulbender would have been higher on this list, personally, if he was the old Soulbender, okay? The one that used to have to set up his circles, the one that had Zeeg, the Second Awakening, the Zeeg setup. This was a much more setup and much more big brain character than he is today. Nowadays, he is a lot more burst-heavy character, and the reason why I still have him higher on this tier list is because of just how fluid he is. You know, I mentioned it earlier. Okay, if you're a press skill kill character like this character kind of turned into, then at least you better be quick. And this guy is so quick. His skills flow very quickly. He has extreme burst, and on top of that, he can even simultaneously cast his skills during the animation of other skills. So those types of things really make the character much more fun to play, in my opinion, when you can just kind of go ham when you really want to. And this character definitely has the ability to do that now, simultaneously casting with no freaking cooldown. This guy's just OP. OP, that's what I say. And lastly, guys, the last character on the C tier is going to be my Secret Agent. Now, I actually have a pretty decently geared Secret Agent. And the Secret Agent, the only reason why I have him this high, you know, I have shit-talked this character in the past, is for one very particular situation. And I think this character is one of the most fun boss fighting characters. And the reason why is he has the most abusive iframe in this game, okay? He has two different skills, Romantic Dash as well as the Shadow Step, which give him iframe pretty much permanently. I mean, this guy had those two skills right there have no cooldown, so you can keep spamming them and spamming them, staying on top of the boss. I mean, it literally homes in on the boss and keeps attacking them, and you can just keep interweaving skills in between that, and then just keep spamming your iframe. You literally can just start intentionally jumping into attacks just to get iframe, and it's kind of fun to do that. No other character in this game really has that ability to be able to stick on enemies as well. That's why I kind of have him here. In every other situation, I find his AoE and stuff like that just not good for almost any other content. I don't like farming with this guy. I don't like doing anything except fighting bosses, which, you know, would make him a pretty decent raid character if you like doing raids and only raids. So yeah, and he's also pretty dang strong too. So yeah, but I would say average, middle of the road type character. Alrighty, guys, so I think I'm gonna go down on the list as we continue. Now, these are characters that I respect them, but I just don't like. And we're going to go in reversed order. So as we keep going down the line, it's going to be less and less respect for these characters. So first and foremost, that character on the cusp of it is going to be the Kunoichi. I respect her a lot. I think the Kunoichi, honestly, for a lot of people, this would be an S tier character. For people who play Kunoichi and that's their main. I totally get it. I totally get why this character is S tier in your book. This character is hyper brain. It is a really hyper brain character. And I've always shit talked this character saying, oh, just spam the character, right? And she is, right? You spam all these skills together. But because of that Nunpo and the ability to basically replay your last, I think it's 6 skills, the amount of combinations of things that you could do in that situation are numerous. And trust me, you don't always do the same rotation every single time. Like a lot of these lower tier brain dead characters, you do the same skill and same rotation every time. No, there might be some situations where you want to have some DOT or you might want some burst, and those are going to be replayed when you use Nunpo. So guys, this is a hyper brain character, and the skill ceiling is really high on Kunoichi. I've shit talked her in the past. It's all in good fun, okay? I understand Kunoichi is hard to play, and I really like her as a character, and I like her as a design. I just don't like playing her, personally. That's it. So, respect her, but just don't like. Next on that list, guys, as another character I consider really, really high skill ceiling is going to be the male brawler. Definitely over the female brawler. If you want a higher skill ceiling character between the brawlers, between all the fighters, I would say, male brawler is definitely up there as one of the most complicated rotations, you know. This guy is throwing skills after skills after skills. I mean, the rotation is hard to do, even if I know what it is. You know, this guy is spamming like crazy. And that's just to do like as much damage as most of these other characters are doing without even thinking. So this is a really hard to play character, and getting everything right, it takes some skill. I'm going to give it to him. All right, next on the list, guys, is the male mechanic. Now, I know a lot of people think the male mechanic is just, you know, put down robots and detonate them with the detonate thing. And I do think that is the identity of the character, but it's not so easy as other type of spammy type characters. You know, the explosion radius is not like massive aside from a couple of skills, and you do got to set up your skills properly. You know, maybe you put a bomb here and then you put a bomb near the end of the room and then you detonate them without holding down the detonation button, and then it'll explode on the spot and it has more AoE. Or maybe you just set up all these bombs right at the door and then you hold the detonation and you can target where you want all the bombs to go. It's a more concentrated explosion, but it takes more time and it's kind of unsafe. You might not get it to go off if you get interrupted, that kind of thing. There is some kind of convolution there, and I think it's kind of fun, and I think that is interesting enough to make me respect the character. I just don't really like the gameplay too much. Next on the list, guys, is going to be the Dimensional Walker. Okay, the Dimensional Walker, I normally wouldn't care for this character at all, but the sheer fact that he has his little dimensional system that he has, basically he can augment, I would say, many of his skills with the use of this dimensional counter. When you press space, and then the next skill that you use is going to be augmented with this dimensional ability, which can drastically change how the skill works. And that kind of system it's very simple, honestly, but it does go a long way in changing a lot of how the skills work and your decision making on what skills you should and should not use in various situations. It would be different if the skills were like only stronger when you use the thing, but it doesn't work that way. It actually changes the skill completely. Sometimes it might be a hold, and sometimes it might be this big AoE field kind of thing, you know. Sometimes it might just be for damage, sometimes it might be for suction, something like that. I do think they did a really good job at kind of augmenting the skills and not making them just stronger or bigger, okay? They made them a lot more useful. My only gripe is that it doesn't apply to all of his skills, so only a select few skills that this happens to. It should apply to all the skills, and I think I would definitely put this guy higher on the list. Next on the list, guys, is the Elemental Bomber. I honestly respect his skill canceling system, okay? I respect it as a system. If you guys don't know, Elemental Bomber can cancel any of his skills basically with another, and a lot of his skills have long animations, so I wouldn't say any of them. I think there are some that you can't do it with, but basically you're just canceling and cycling through your skills. And the reason why I kind of like it is that it's your responsibility to cancel it at the right time. If you cancel a skill too early before it comes off, it just doesn't come off and you lose that skill. Easy as that. So yes, you can reduce the aftercast delay, but it's up to your discretion on how well you play the character to ensure that the skill actually comes off before you cancel it. And sometimes, you know, sometimes it's worthwhile to do that because you're trying to, you know, play it safe and you don't want to get interrupted or a boss is going to nuke you or something. You cancel it early with this throwaway fodder skill so you can get out of there. I do like that aspect, that you can't really just slam your head on the keyboard and play the character well. But, you know, it's very minor. I don't think it's, I don't like it that much. There's a lot of chain skill characters that I have that are just more fun to play. Next character, guys, is the Shadow Dancer. Now, the Shadow Dancer, let me tell you, I wanted to really like this character. This character, when I saw her, I was like, dude, I'm going to love this character. It has a gimmick, back attack gimmick, gets different attack animations when she attacks from the back. Guys, at the end of the day, if you just look at a skill rotation at the end game of a Shadow Dancer, what you're going to notice is not a lot of diversity in the gameplay. What's going to end up happening is you're going to see how many times she throws the chain and how much damage that does and how pivotal it is to kind of controlling and playing the character. You throw this, you just throw the chain all the time, and that's it. You just use your second awakening and don't even use the final attack. Just use the chain and just keep chaining those skills together. You press one skill, you press the chain. You press one skill, you press the chain. It's very, very boring. Come to find out that when you're doing normal content, you're using the second awakening. I mean, the second awakening basically makes the character, and that's about it. It really is a shame that it's not more involved than that, and it's also not very quick. You would think that this character would be about like speed, and it's not. It's not. In fact, the Rogue is much more what I was looking for, and she existed long before the Shadow Dancer. So come to find out, I do rank the Rogue a lot higher than this character, and the Shadow Dancer is not the Rogue. That's the way I see it. But I still respect people that like it, mostly because of the back attack gameplay that she has. Next, guys, is the Exorcist. Now, you know, the reason why I have him in this tier is because he has the most skills in the game, I think. He literally has 2 skill builds built into one character. Okay, he has a magic tree and he has a physical tree, and they both have a ton of skills. So I do, you know, they've kind of combined them now with the hybrid exo. You don't build one or the other now. You can kind of choose. And then, you know, Rosary or Axe, whichever one you want to prioritize, but you're still going to be getting both skills within both trees, and he has a ton of skills for that, and I think that's kind of respectable. I just don't like the magic tree, you know. The way I play my exo is Pexo only, okay, and you're a coward if you get the Mexo skills, but unfortunately I'm not allowed to play that way because, you know, talismans and skill builds and stuff. Anyway, I respect him as a character. I respect people who play him because of that vast pool of skills, but he is kind of a press skill kill basic type of character at the end of the day. No real big systems aside from just having a ton of skills. Next on the list, guys, is the Necromancer. Now, the Necromancer is somebody who I've always tossed aside, along with the Kunoichi. You know, I kind of had to be shown that the Necromancer is much more involved than what you would think. You know, I always thought, oh, well, just it's Nicholas and Valakar. That's it. That's all that is. And Nicholas basically fights on his own, and Valakar really can be broken down into 4 big one-hitter quitter type skills. And that's really an oversimplification. You know, she has other skills. She has things that, you know, basic attack augmentations with Valakar. You do really have to control Nicholas. You can't just let Nicholas go crazy. You'd have to control him. My one thing, and the reason why I almost put this character lower on the tier list, is the fact that she has so many skills that are duplicates of one another. It literally has 3 different hold skills with Nicholas, literally 4 different pool skills that are just AoE dot pools. It is so lazily designed. But aside from that, I do think she is well designed in terms of the smaller things with controlling the character, controlling Nicholas, controlling the basic attack with Valakar. I respect it a little bit more than I did before. Alrighty, guys, next is gonna be the female mechanic. Now, I respect her, but I don't like her. Okay, that's this whole tier list. I don't like her at all, actually. In fact, she's lucky I didn't put her in the Garb tier. But I do respect her because she is a very unique character. Basically, all she does is cycle between different damage modes. Okay, one is a damage over time mode and one is a burst mode, and she just kind of keeps cycling them and you know, alternating between them, and that's how she does most, if not all, of her damage. She also has some intermediate skills that kind of work as, you know, AoE fields and stuff like that, some hold potential, some grouping potential. She has a little bit of that, but most of it's coming from your G series, which is the entire point of the character, and I honestly don't find it all that fun. The one thing that kind of changed my mind was the addition of the Falcon, which is basically a second G series. Okay, so you get the G series and then you have 2 different things now that you have to cycle through: the ammunition of your Falcon series as well as your G series. Now, those 2 things, if you don't know what I'm saying, then you just have to play the character to understand, but I don't like it nearly as much as some other people, but I can kind of see why those 2 systems and managing that and is kind of fun, maybe. I respect it, I just don't like it personally. And last on this list, guys, I kind of put this character mostly because I think this character is just a awesome designed character, the best designed character, the one that has the most character, the one that has the most flair to their design of the character, and that's the goofy witch character. It's so weird. I already know the types of people that play witch. You guys know who you are. You weird guys, but the character's weird, and the character it has a lot of flair to it, and that has carried over since the very beginning of the character with attacks that can like hurt herself. Well, not actually hurt herself, but you know, falling out of the sky, crashing her face into the ground. Her awakenings are always hurting her. Her inventions are always exploding in her face, or she's always getting caught in them. Her awakening, she's crashing freaking roller coasters. It's so cool how they have designed the character. No other really character in this game has any kind of depth to that level when it kind of bleeds into not just the lore but the skills themselves. It's really awesome, and I respect that this character exists just for that point alone, even if I don't like playing it myself. All right, guys, we're getting a little bit more juicy, guys. Let's go into the B tier of characters, and we're gonna start with my least favorite B tier character. Now, these are high tier characters. I mean, there are literally, you know, almost 40 characters that are below this character, so this is still pretty high. But just my least favorite of the B tier characters that are the most fun in this game is going to be the female ranger. Now, I'm actually going to say that the second one after that is the male ranger. I'm having a hard time choosing which one I like more, okay? So I might just go ahead and switch the two. I don't know. Female ranger and male ranger, I kind of like them as characters where they're kind of really focused around just bursting people down, using these skills, getting in people's faces, getting close range, and blasting them with all of these skills. And this is also the reason why I always feel like rangers, if you have a ranger in your party and you're a satyr or something, hey, watch out for these guys, okay? Because they are always getting killed. They're always dying. And you know that is true. These rangers are always dying because, you know, they're really risky. You get in there and you're trying to do damage and then boom, you're dead. And that's kind of their play style, is that they have to get in there and they have to try to chain as many skills as they can, with also trying to play safe. Hey, sometimes it's not possible to play safe, man. You got to go in, and that's how the character goes in, and it's really fun to do that with the male ranger as well as the female ranger. Kind of, they play a little bit similar, but if you like chaining combos and skills together, go with the female ranger. I like the male ranger though because he has headshot and he has some other skills that don't always force him to be like right there. You know, I kind of put him at the same tier. They're both kind of equally as fun. Alrighty, guys, next character on the list is going to be the Erebus, the fuck boy. And really the reason why I find him to be an interesting character is because I really like his encroachment mechanic. That is that little black shadow that shows up on, like, as a debuff on anybody that you hit with a lot of your skills, and it basically applies that debuff onto anybody, and you can do more additional damage when they're debuffed like that, and you can also, you know, if you get additional damage when you use certain types of lightning type spear attacks. It's a really complicated system, and I think it's really cool. But on top of that, I think he has a good balance of AoE as well as install type moves. He has a lot of moves that just kind of sit there and do damage, and I think all of that kit kind of really makes for a lot of interesting gameplay. I think I understand really why a lot of people find this character to be a lot of fun, and I think that system as well as the skills that he has also makes him, you know, he was such a breeze to level up and play. Even if I don't play him very much nowadays, I do respect that. The time I had with him, I think he's kind of fun, and I totally get why people play him. Next after that, guys, is the Vanguard. Now, I might get a lot of shit. A lot of people don't like this character, but I actually find him to be a lot of fun. Okay, he is a very slow and deliberate character, which is not like most of the characters I like playing, but he kind of makes up for it with that impact smash, which can cancel the animation of any of your slow skills and immediately cancel into this extremely quick impact smash, which has some decent AoE. So obviously, that's kind of his system. You kind of use these slow skills for their purpose, whether it be grouping or huge AoE, and then you cancel the aftercast delay into impact smash, and there you go. Easy as that. So he's really simple, but even that being said, I still find him to be kind of fun with that system. Next after that, guys, is the Swordmaster. Now, I really, really like the Swordmaster as a character. If you guys didn't know, she is a Swordmaster. She can use any of the weapon types aside from lightsaber. She actually can't use that, but depending on what weapon type she uses will augment all of her skills and cast different versions of them. Now, that being said, that is an interesting feature, but you know, some are obviously going to be better than others, and when we talk about weapons, you do have to commit pretty heavily to a weapon type. So nowadays I think most people are going Zanbato, but you know, I've heard legends of all four of them being used at certain points of time. You know, bludgeon being used to bounce bounce people infinitely. Right now I'm using Zahn, which has some crazy damage and AoE on some moves. Short sword if you liked hitting with the magic sword, and the katana if you like the cooldown reduction, you like canceling skills. I mean, there's viability in all 4 of those weapons, and I really do like that aspect of her, and she makes it more fun to play. If you actually do commit to getting different weapon types, I do think she's a really versatile character that gets a lot of mileage out of the few skills that she has. She's not a character that really has a ton of systems. She does have a skill canceling system like many of the characters in this game, but you know, it's kind of revolves around this sword play mechanic as well, which I think is kind of cool. So definitely a fun character in my opinion. Next after that, guys, is the Berserker. Now, the Berserker is one of the more simple characters that I have here on this tier list, and I do find the Berserker, though, to be a lot of fun to play when you get a little bit of gear, and you don't need that much, you know. Berserker is, you know, fixed damage character, and he really just abuses this for a long time, even early on. You know, early on into late game, he's just dominating stuff with little gear. And the cool thing is when you get some gear, you can start doing it so fast. I mean, the speed of this character is absurd, matched only with the Vagabond, I think, which a lot of people know how fast that character is. This character, though, when you know, turn on your maximum stacks of the Bloody Cross and you're in your first Awakening transformation, this guy can blaze through dungeons instantly. He has almost no skills either that take more than a second to cast and get the full damage off. Even skills like Outrage Break and stuff like that are so fast, but most of them are just instantaneous bursts. So it's a lot of fun to play that way. And I really have a lot of fun playing it. That's easy as that. Next after that, guys, is the Skirmisher. Now, the Skirmisher and the Vanguard are very similar. He actually casts a lot of his skills, and they're really slow in animation. So you have to cancel out of them with your Mirage Stance, which is his entire gimmick. You basically can cancel any of your skills with a Mirage Stance skills, and there are, I think, 4 different versions of those skills, and each of those can be used for different purposes. You can use it as a quick attack, you can backstep out of attacks, you can throw a hold in the middle of your attacks, which can obviously set up for some awesome combos. And you know, I think that whole system is really fun to kind of play around with. The one drawback that I have about it is the fact that it's not very fun to use in normal type PvE stuff. I remember trying to farm this guy's swap set, and doing the Operation Hope dungeon with this character was kind of cancer because his range, his AoE is kind of trash. But aside from that, guys, I actually have a lot of fun in most content where the enemies aren't as spread out. Raids, as well as just normal content where I can actually hit people with these combos. Then he starts getting a lot of fun, and I think he's extremely fun because of that. And the last character in B tier, guys, is going to be my Battle Mage. Now, the Battle Mage is an interesting character. She has always been on this, like, on the radar. I think people are always watching. This character used to be buggy, this character used to be trash, then she got good, now she got really good with the 3A. You know, she's been up and down this tier list, and it's almost been comical watching it. But I think she, at the end of the day, I do find her to be a really fun character to play. But you have to get a lot of gear. You have to get both gear for damage and gear for speed. Okay, you need to be able to cast a lot of different skills and a lot of different chasers. Trust me, this character is not fun to play if you are moving really slowly. Okay, so you need to be able to move around the map very quickly. And I think with the 3A now, people are going to be doing that even without gear. But she has a lot of different fast, high burst moves and pretty decent AoE. And with the new 3A, she's actually just doing crazy damage to boot. I think she's a very fast and fluid standard type character, more so than most other characters that you're going to see at the very top of this list who are more gimmick focused. This is a much more standard focused character, which that one thing with the chaser system that she has. But aside from that, I think she's pretty standard and pretty fun to play too. All right, next on the list are the characters that I respect, but honestly, if I'm being really honest with myself, guys, I would consider them garbage tier characters. But I'm just going to say I respect them so I don't piss you guys off too much, because I know there's a lot of people who like these characters. But first on that list, guys, Inquisitor, okay? She is on the cusp of being somebody I just don't like. But no, if I'm being honest with myself, I think she's a garbage tier character. She is so slow with her skills, and her whole gimmick, it is interesting. You know, when you have an enemy who's conflagrated, they take extra damage, and as well as when you hit them with some oil, Flague's Essence, they will explode, and that's how you hold them. You also have other ways to hold people, but that's kind of your main gimmick. That's the whole gimmick of the character. I just don't think it's very fun. I don't find it to be fun. It's interesting, but I respect it. It's interesting. I just don't find it to be that fun, and honestly, I don't like playing my Inquisitor that. Next on the list, guys, is going to be the Shitman. Now guys, honestly, Hitman is not like a bad character. He has this interesting system where he can cancel from a sword skill into a gun skill flawlessly, but unfortunately it doesn't work the other way around. So your skills are always going to be a 1-2 punch combo, which are always you know, I kind of wish it worked both ways. In fact, I wish he could just change his skills better in general. You know, it just doesn't feel right, like it's finished completely, and it's always 1-2 1-2 with this guy. Even though he has fast animation and pretty decent AoE, that fluidity of play kind of makes some skills not fun to use. You know, it's just like, well, if I'm not able to kill all these guys in one shot, I'm not gonna try to use this 1-2 punch combo because there's gonna be some guys left over and stuff like that. It's the one drawback of the character. Maybe some better chaining ability. Next character, I'm gonna put it. Yeah, I gotta say it. I don't like Elementalist in this game. I don't think that she's a bad character. Maybe I can move her up to the respect, and I just don't like it. But it's a character that has a lot of AoEs. It's just, that's it. You know, she has a ton. In fact, as she's gotten more and more levels, she just keeps getting more and more AoEs. And I feel like maybe she needs some lower cooldown skills or lower tier skills that aren't just completely huge room-wide killing AoEs. But that's kind of her identity, and I honestly don't find it that fun in this game. You know, it's very press skill kill type or esque. And I respect it for people who like it, but personally, I just don't find it fun in a beat-em-up game when that's all you do is just run into a room and nuke it with a big AoE. But then again, there are some people who really like that gameplay, so maybe that's more your style. Not for me, though. Next character, guys, is the Swift Master. Now, I wanted to really like this character. This character felt like it was going to be the one for me. And, you know, he has a system with the sonic move, and it's kind of interesting. You know, it has an extremely low cooldown. You can cast it 3 times in succession, and you can use it to cancel pretty much most of your big skills that have long animations. And so that's kind of how the optimal play of this character goes. The problem is, of the skills that he has, I dislike like half of them. I don't even like using most of them. They're just really not interesting skills. And most importantly, guys, it's just the movement seems so stale. I wish he had, you know, one thing that could help a lot is the ability to use Sonic Move in the diagonal or vertical direction even. Even if it was just for PvE, that would be a lot more fun and a lot more interesting. It would allow you to cover more ground and be more mobile and be a lot more like Rogue, which I'm going to mention at some point. But, you know, it just makes me want to play Rogue, to be honest with you. Next on the list, guys, might be a shocker that I haven't put this one on the garbage tier, but yeah, Creator. Creator is such a unique character, and honestly, she's not a beat-em-up character. This is a beat-em-up game, and she is not a beat-em-up character. She's a cookie clicker character. That on itself should have put her in garbage tier, but at the same time, you know, I actually don't hate playing her in this game. She is at least interesting enough in that right. You know, don't have much else to say about her aside from the fact that they have improved her skills from when she started out. She used to have only a few skills, and only some of them were even good. Now she has a lot of them that are actually viable and more fun to use. So I respect her, and I respect the people that play her, but damn, she's still garbage in my opinion. Next after that, guys, is going to be the Nemesis, DT. The weird thing is DT is like an unpopular female Slayer class, which most of the female Slayers and male Slayers are always popular, but I don't feel like I see a ton of DTs. The thing is, the DTs that I do see are always mega geared. So you got a very dedicated fan base. I respect you guys. I do. I respect you guys. But it's a garbage character. I do not like playing this character. Really press skill kill character with a lot of holds. And, you know, we always meme about the holds nowadays. But back then, man, there were so many more DTs than there are now because the holds were more prevalent. And a lot of her kit revolves around the hold. So when you kind of remove that as an aspect of play, she kind of gets effective negatively. And, you know, when you kind of boil it down, the skills that she does have, I just don't like using them. Easy as that. Moving on, though, guys. And again, you know, with the DT as well as this character, the Shaman, these characters are not weak characters. Let me tell you that right now. Shaman and DT, I mean, most of them that I know are extremely strong synergy character. They are doing more damage in deeps easily. Both of them. The Shaman too, and she also has a ton of AoEs and a ton of install moves that she doesn't even have to think about, which is really awesome for her. I just don't really, you know, kind of similar to how the Elementalist is. I just don't kind of like that gameplay where you just kind of go into a room, nuke it, move on to the next room. There's nothing really too involved with that, and most of the characters I find more fun are going to be just more involved in that. So that's kind of why I have her. I respect it, but I think the gameplay is just not that fun for me. Next on the list, guys, is going to be the Glacial Master. Now, I respect him because I know a lot of people like the Icy Boy, but man, I gotta say, I really only like his burst heavy skills. You know, the skills like the Toilet Bowl, like the Ice Trap, like the Snowfield, even the Ice Orb, all of these, the Shatter even, all of these are like kind of good, but I just don't like using them, honestly. I only like using skills like the Shard Magnum and the Ice Hammer and stuff. Those are cool skills for me. The other ones are just like, they're lame, man. I gotta say, I think they're not that fun to use, honestly. And overall, the kit just doesn't seem complete. You know, I wish he was more focused on the fast burst type moves instead of those slow AoE. And he has no really other systems to kind of sell me on the character any much more than this. So respect him, respect the people who like the Cold Boy. I just don't like it. I think he's garbage. I think he's kind of not fun. Alrighty, guys, now we're moving up to the very tippy top here, guys. The A tier most fun characters, starting at my least favorite A tier character, and it's going to be the female grappler. I think with the 3A, guys, they have really done it. And not just the 3A, okay? Basically, they have been changing this character ever since I've made my DFO Rush video, and I shit-talked this character and got a lot of flack. Back then, that was like fucking 4 or 5 years ago at this point. Hey, ever since then, you can thank me for all of the changes that they made to female grappler to make her an awesome character, okay? She is so fluid to play. She has a lot of different combinations that she can do, and the ability to be able to augment your skills using the turn heal is out of this world awesome. My only gripe is that, you know, I would put her higher on this list. Honestly, I would, if you had the ability to augment those skills mid-dungeon instead of outside of dungeon. Hopefully they make that change. But aside from that, guys, it is so much better now that you have the ability to choose whether or not you want the hold capacity or not, which, as you will soon see, another grappler type character does not have that luxury and is also much lower on this list. But aside from that, the 3A, one of the coolest 3As also. Speaking of cool 3As, by the way, I forgot to talk about that on Swordmaster. Swordmaster has, bar none, the best 3A I have seen thus far, and honestly the best 2A as well, if I'm going to be honest with you. But anyway, female grappler definitely deserves the A spot. Next after that, guys, I'm going to put the Ghost Boy. And let me tell you, the Ghost Blade is such a well-designed character, man. He's one of the most new characters we've gotten in DFO, and I think they did such a good job designing him. He has so many systems with him that I kind of wish I saw in other characters. You know, he has incredible AoE with an abusive low-level skill. He has really good low-level skills like the Phantom Slash. You know, you don't normally see that. Low-level skills usually get ignored. On this character, dude, you want to level those skills, and they're really good. He has the ability to simultaneously cast his skills, which not a lot of characters have that ability, obviously, but it kind of involves really well with his other systems where he can teleport to his ghosts, where he can simultaneously cast either ghost skills or both ghost and slayer skills. There's a whole system there. He is so really well designed, and I think he's a fun character to play because of it. There's a lot of skill ceiling involved there. I don't think he's the hardest character to play in this game. You know, I do think that you can play him very effectively, very well. Kind of like the Kunoichi, honestly. You can play Kunoichi really effectively, but getting to that super high skill ceiling of mastering and controlling everything perfectly is going to take a long time, and it's hard to do, and he's a high skill ceiling character because of that. I think I really like him. Alrighty, guys, next is going to be the Vagabond. Now, I gotta say, a lot of people are bandwagoning on Vagabond after the 3A. In fact, they were bandwagoning before. I have liked Vagabond for a long time, and they have changed her a lot, and I've made videos, I think, almost every time about the Vagabond because I've tried to chronicle how the Vagabond used to play to versus how she plays now, and they've changed her so many times. They've added new skills, you know, got rid of her terrible quintuple strength buff. Her first awakening was awful. Her animations on Fluttering Blades was so slow, and they've changed all of that and made her such a more fluid character. Now, this is not a complex character to play by any means, okay? There are so many more complex characters to play in this game, but it is satisfying because of the speed, okay? I talked about at the start that the characters who, you know, if they're not complicated to play characters like Vagabond, at least they should chain together well and be fun to press buttons. And with Vagabond, dude, she is so fluid, and she can really dance on people, on bosses in particular. I think I showcased this really well on my last PvE video with my Vagabond, you can really start iframing on guys with soaring. You can dash past them with that new chain connection skill. She is so fun to play because of it. I really do think so. Next on the list, guys, is going to be my Mistress. Man, it just sucks. My Mistress is on the cusp of not getting Sirocco geared just because I have too many characters that I'm gearing, but I really do respect Mistress. I always have. I've always had her, you know, I've always tried to get her geared. It's not because she's complicated to play at all. Yeah, actually, she's very simple to play. She does have a gimmick in the sense that she can cancel her skills into each other, you know, so she basically just an aftercast delay canceling type system, but even that is not very complicated. Just kind of press your skills. But the reason why is the same reason as the Vagabond. You know, I really do find her to be a very fluid character, whether you're in your First Awakening transformation or not. You know, that fluidity is something that I really respect, and you can do some really cool combos with setups with some of your demon skills. You know, you can hit somebody with the Envious Kiss and then, you know, use 3 different attacks and then teleport behind them. Use all kinds of jumping with the Pride Axle and all of that. There's a lot of cool moves that she has, and I think she's really flashy and very fluid to play. I really do hope that 3A that's coming up here pretty soon, though, kind of brings up her damage, because that's the one thing people are going to complain about. The fact that she doesn't get her First Awakening and the fact that her damage is kind of low are some things to be concerned about, but I do find her to be a fun character regardless. I had a really hard time which one I rank higher than the other, but at the end of the day, I'm going to say Female Brawler is my next character that I'd say. Female Brawler is so fun, and hopefully, guys, I've played Female Brawler long enough and I've showcased enough of Female Brawler. I think this is one of those characters that is a sleeper character. People don't really know how Female Brawler plays, or they haven't seen her and don't know the nuances about her, but I think I've exposed Female Brawler for the fun that she is. She is way more than just junk spin and block bomb, you know, or stunning people nowadays, okay? She is definitely in your face. She is fast as heck with her snake stance, and she is really bursty with these Venom Mine and ground kick and all of that. So much versatility with her. She gets iframe off of mount. You know, she's a fighter character, so she gets access to the crouch. She is a lot of fun to play, and even if she is basic, you know, at the end of the day, it really is just a bunch of basic attack and impressive skill. Even if that's the case, I do think that she kind of utilizes it better than most characters in this game, just because of how well you have to integrate that. I mean, it is something that you can't just pick up and play and be pretty good at. I mean, you do have to get really good at X-string canceling, as well as, you know, using the right rotation and all of that. I do find that to be really fun, in-your-face type of character that isn't as cheap as somebody like Secret Agent. It's so much more involved than Secret Agent. You have to play harder. You have to play better than you do on Secret Agent, which is super brain dead and just stick on a guy for nothing. This character is, you can stick on a guy for sure with your basic attack, but it's not just for nothing. You got to play smarter and better than that, which I find to be more fun. And the one that I was debating whether or not I liked more or less is the Female Striker. I do love the Female Striker. Yeah, she isn't as complex as the male Striker, but I do find her to be a lot of fun. You know, her skill cancel system is so good. It is so well designed because it's so fast. She has so many skills that are some of the fastest skills in the game. Ankle cut is so fast that it doesn't even look like a skill. It looks like a basic attack or something. You can use that to cancel out of your skills. You can use all different types of skills like crushing fist or mountain pusher to kind of get extreme movement. You know, there's so many nuances with the cancel system. You know, you have skills that have really slow animations, but you kind of want to cancel into those, into other skills. You know, beat drive into 1-inch punch, into lightning dance. These are all combos you can do. You can cancel into your awakenings. The canceling system is perfected, I think, on the Female Striker. If you really want a cancel heavy character that does a lot of damage and you don't have to try as hard. Now, there are better cancel characters in this game, in my opinion, but you have to try way harder, and the reward is just as good or not as good. So just thought I should mention that this is one of the best cancel characters in the game that can get her burst out and the easiest of them to play, even if there are better cancel characters. Alrighty, guys, we're in the home stretch, and we are in the garbage tier characters. Okay, I'm going to be going from my least garbage character to my most garbage character in DFO here. First and foremost, guys, it's my main. It's my Paladin. My Paladin is so trash, yo. I'm being dead honest, guys. Okay, there are more reasons than just the fun factor of why people play characters. Some people play characters because, you know, they're OP, and that's why they main this character, because they're OP and they can do a lot of damage. That's part of the reason why I like my paladin still, is that, you know, I can use her for most content in the game because she's so like good at farming, good at anything. She's a synergy character, really strong, has healing. She can do everything. But in terms of fun, dude, she is not fun to play, period. She's not fun. She has no real system. She has like a feather system that doesn't matter. AoEs that are just so brain dead easy, and no system whatsoever aside from the speed buff that you don't even have to think about. It is boring. The one saving grace that she has is that she has blocks and she has healing, and she can tank through gimmick attacks. You know, it's kind of fun to do that, but at the end of the day, I don't play a character to freaking cheese gimmick attacks, okay? I play a character to kill bosses and do it well, and this character is just kind of boring when it comes to that. So, yeah, it's Garb. Moving on is Chaos. I did put her next to Paladin just because of the fact that they're knights. But aside from the gameplay, both of them are kind of boring in my opinion. Have a lot of skills that don't get utilized on the character. You mostly would just be utilizing the same 3 basic skills, and then you kind of chain that with one of your bigger skills, and that's the whole character in a nutshell. I know people who main Chaos are going to tell me otherwise, but dude, come on now. It's not that complicated, and it's not that fun either. Garbage character. Next on the list, guys, is going to be the Pathfinder. I know I always gas up Pathfinder. I always try to sing this guy's praises, man. Like, Pathfinder's the shit. He looks cool. I'll give him that. He looks pretty cool. But, man, playing him is pretty lame. His holding systems are not that complicated. His battery system is almost underdeveloped. You know, it really should have worked for most of his skills. It doesn't work for hardly any of his skills. And the skills that it does work for, it's almost not noticeable. Like, you'll use it on your awakening, and you're just like, well, it went red. What happened? A lot of your skills go red, and you don't even know the difference. The only one I even can think of off the top of my head is the suction effect on your gravity ball skill. Aside from that, dude, what do you use the batteries for? It's so lame. That the fact that I have to even think about it is very annoying to me, and I wish they developed this character more and buffed up some of his skills. I mean, just look at what fucking somebody like Ghost Boy can do, and then look at what this guy can do. I mean, there's so much room for development that you could do that you had no problem doing for Ghost Boy, but then look at me, look at my old grandpa. He sucks. He's trash. Next on the list is gonna be Spitfire, and this guy's lucky he's not lower. Okay, in fact, I have half a mind to do it because, dude, this guy is basic attack king. And, you know, you can say the same thing about the female Spitfire because they both share basically the same skill set. But the problem is he has no gimmick that kind of elevates him above just pressing the X key and throwing a few grenades. I mean, I can understand some people like simpler characters, but this is going a step too far. This is basically basic attack only. You can argue, yeah, female brawler has basic attack only, but it's not, because you gotta, you know, you're in people's face and you have to chain your skills into each other. You don't really have to. You can kind of just unload your skills on Spitfire. You know, you hold X and you unload your skills. And some of them you can even cast from far away and get full damage. So, no. That's not it. That's not a very fun character, especially when we talk about extreme characters. I think, you know, female Spitfire does it better in every aspect, and, you know, other basic attack centric characters like female Brawler are much more involved. So that's why I think this guy's just not very fun. Next on the list, you guys are surprised I didn't put him at the bottom, but Azura. I love shit talking Azura because there's a lot of you Azura mains out there. I mispronounce his name intentionally just to piss you guys off. You guys are probably like, it's Asura, Rick, it's Asura. No, he's Azura because he's Z tier if I had one, okay? Azura. But yeah, he is so lame. And there was a time where I used to not be, you know, embarrassed to say I main this character, you know, way back when, you know, when he used to actually not just instantly decimate everything without looking, literally with his blind eyes, okay? Because I used to play this game blindfolded with big freaking oven mitts, and I was still able to do dungeons no problem because this character is so brain dead easy to play. Don't even have to worry about timing anything. Don't have to worry about anything. You know, I looked at a rotation one time on a YouTube video and I was able to copy it on my like second try. That's how easy this guy is. Like, dude, nothing involved with the character. He even has lightning that falls from the sky, install moves that drop lightning that fall from the sky and target enemies. I mean, there's no thinking involved with this character, and that's why he's so low. Next, we got the Troubleshooter. Very similar to the Pathfinder in my opinion. They're actually pretty much on the same level. The reason I have him lower is that he doesn't actually have a battery system. He has nothing. All he does is press skill and kill, and he has a lot of holds and a lot of AoE, But that's it, man. Dude, this guy's got nothing going for him. It is not fun at all. The most fun thing I found about the character was he has this role that makes him turn into a fetus for some reason. That's about it. I got nothing, man. This guy is so lame and so boring. Very similar to the Elementalist, where I just don't like characters that just have big AoEs. Okay, I don't find them to be very fun because of the low skill ceiling required to play them. But, you know, even less than Elementalists, you know, there's nothing to this guy. Next is going to be the male grappler. Oh my gosh, it is so shocking to me that there are people out there who would even think this character is better than any character in the game, let alone female grappler, okay? Because female grappler just puts this guy to shame. Anything that he can do, the female grappler can do better, and he doesn't do anything good. What does he do good? This guy is, I can't hardly call him a grappler anyway. I mean, how many times is he not grappling people and just kicking them and shit? Anyway, the point here being, okay, he has many skills that I'm embarrassed that they exist. Okay, Focus Fury is one of these skills that I thought was a joke, like a test demo of some 5-year-old's animation reel, okay? This thing has 3 frames of animation and they keep replaying them. Dude, this is the most embarrassing skill in DFO. Okay, they really got to update that. But look, they just need to delete this character because this guy is not fun to play. Next, you know, similar to the Rangers, I'm going to put the launchers here kind of side by side. I don't know which is worse than the other. I just don't really like the gameplay style of lasering the whole room and then moving on to the next room. I can understand if you like a range type character, but are beat 'em ups really about that? Are beat 'em ups about lasering people from across the room without even being able to see them and then moving on to the next room? I mean, to each their own, right? But that's kind of why a lot of these big AoE characters, you don't see them high on my list. I don't find that to be very fun. Just nuking somebody or nuking groups of guys or without them having the ability to retaliate. It's just like there's something not satisfying about that. And I think the launchers kind of embody that. But then again, like I said, if you like that type of gameplay, then they'll obviously be higher on your list. Next is going to be the Dragon Lancer. Now, if you'll notice, on my tier list, the Lancers actually take up some of the higher parts of this list. You know, I'm talking B tier. I have all the Lancers in B tier. Why is this guy down here? It's because he's trash. You know, when I look at the other Lancers and I look at this guy, I'm like, yo, you're like the ugly duckling, man. Where's your systems at? Where's your fun skills? Dude, I didn't even level Scale Grinder for the longest time. That's the one where he shoots 1,000 spears and then does a big attack at the end. I didn't even level that skill, and I don't care how much damage it did because of how unsatisfying it was to use. And he has a lot of skills that are like that. Partisan Skewer before you get the Talisman. All of these skills that are just not fun to use. He has this like useless spear system. It kind of auto-fires spears. So that's not a system. He has no system, and he has no gimmick, and he has no fun. Alright, next character on the list is going to be the Demon Slayer. Now, some of you guys know I have a little bit of a history with Demon Slayer, and I'm going to tell you that's why she's so low on the list, okay? Because there's a lot of fake Demon Slayer fans who only tier whore and only listen to what the Koreans say. They didn't listen to me when I told them the best setup in the game back in 85 cap. They just ignored me. They didn't read it. And guess what? That setup still exists here to this day. Okay, let me show you. So you see this set right here, guys? This is a Chronicle set. This right here is Krong's Army. It actually buffs up your Sanguine Choreography, and that's the skill that summons those clones and do those clones attacks for you. I could have gotten a 6-piece Krong's Army set, and then for the last 3 pieces, I could get Bronx Magian, which buffs up Sanguine Choreography by 100%. That is so broken, right? Wrong. Wrong, because it's still wrong to this day, even though we reported this shit 5 years ago. It doesn't buff up Sanguine Choreography. It actually buffs up Bleeding Blades, but it doesn't tell you that. Because it tells you the wrong fucking skill. And I'm pissed about that because nobody warned me that I was wrong about that and that the fucking skill description's not correct. And I wasted my time getting Bronx Magian when these fake Demon Slayer mains were copying all the other builds and not building what I just said right there. Because any person with a brain would have gotten my setup. But nope, they followed the Korean setup. They didn't listen to me. And just like that, Demon Slayer fell to the bottom of the garbage tier bin of fun characters in this game. Because aside from my awesome build, you can only build this character one way, and that is just do burst damage and press skills and kill. There's nothing at all to this character aside from that. And that's really why I don't find her to be very fun. I try to make her fun with Krong's Army and 3-piece Bronx Magian. Too bad, though, because this character can't be allowed to have any fun. Just press skill and kill. Next character on the list, guys, is going to be Blood Boy, oh my god, he has two things that go against him. Okay, one is I hardly like any of this guy's skill. I only like the skills where he has quick burst moves, you know. He has so many AoE moves that just kind of do DOT or do a hold effect. They are just not satisfying at all to use. The only one is going to be the Fatal Blitz. I think that's the one where he rips out your heart, as well as the one where he charges and these fangs come out and bite you. Those are the only two skills I like on the character. Everything else I hate. And then on top of that, he has this blood gimmick that he has to worry about. Dude, it is so like just... It's not an engaging system. It's just an annoying one that you have to worry about because now you have to cast these dumb DOT skills and you got to hit some enemies for it to apply. You got to throw out your homies Lil Roy and Lil Leak. It's annoying. The character's not fun. Moving on. The last two most boring characters in DFO, guys. Dude, he is lucky I didn't put him in the last spot. But Dark Knight is so trash. He is so trash, okay? I'm not going to hear it from anyone that this guy is any fun, okay? You only press the same key 5 times. You press A, and sometimes you might press E at the end of one of those A's to get more damage. That's it. That is it. S, 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 W, D, 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 Q. It is so freaking dumb that they have a system like this, and he copies so many of the skills from Slayer. It just seems like the most lazily designed character in terms of the skills that he's stolen, in terms of the gameplay. I cannot believe people find him interesting. And the other thing that I kind of hate about the character is that when it comes to killing just one enemy, you know, when you're not able to nuke everybody with, you know, these like crazy chains of skills together, when you're not able to do that, he has a really hard time not blowing big skills just to kill one guy because he has no other skills in the downtime. You have to use these chain skills and hope that they kill. Otherwise, you're going to use a big skill to kill one guy, okay? Because you have no fucking other options because this character sucks. And last and most certainly least, Scummoner. And moving on to what we have been waiting for, guys, my S tier characters. If I haven't mentioned your character yet, you already know you're at the S tier, and there are only 5 of you guys left. Okay, so I have some great things to say about all of them. First and foremost, guys, the Dragon Knight. The Dragon Knight is an amazingly designed character. The A-Team definitely worked on this character. Now, it is not a complicated character by any means. There are many other characters even below this point in the tier list that are much more complicated to play, but they have designed him in such a very cohesive and understandable way that I think that it just flows so much better than everybody else in the game. Okay, she is the best aerial combat character. She can cast almost any of her skills in the air, and it will cast a different version whether you cast it in the air or on the ground. And backstep works for this purpose as well, so you can basically get those aerial variants at any point in time that you want. It's all up to how you want to play the character. Then she has her Dragon Ascent skill, which pops her into the air, which can be used to chain moves together that would normally put you back onto the ground. There are many skills that do that. So you have the air mobility of jumping into the air, coming into the ground, and on top of that, guys, on top of that, you simultaneously cast skills. Okay, I mentioned this with the Ghost Boy. I mentioned this with the Skirmisher. Okay, the ability to simultaneously cast your skills is something that is really fun and satisfying to do. Okay, you can cast a lot of your dragon skills during the animation of some of your other skills, which will obviously reduce the casting time of what you would normally spend if you didn't do that. Okay, so you obviously want to simultaneously cast to increase your burst potential. So those two things, her aerial superiority as well as her simultaneously casting, makes her an S tier character. She is so fun to play. It's not going to be a hard sell for me to sell you on the Dragon Knight. She is going to be fun to play, and she's also fixed damage, so she's not that hard to gear either. So definitely highly recommended from me. Next character that I got to put in S tier, guys, is going to be the Rogue. Now, I know I haven't geared up my Rogue as much as I have wanted to, but let me tell you guys, Rogue is so much fun. Okay, her system is the hit end system. Now, at its core, it's very simple. All you have to do is press Z at the end of your skill animation, and you will do a finishing attack called your hit end, and you will expend your hit end contact points that you build up for whenever you're basically hitting attacks It builds up contact points really quickly, and then the damage scales in accordance to how many contact points you have. Now, it's a very simple system, but the reason why I like it so much is because of how all-encompassing it is. It's something you have to worry about right when you get into the rogue subclass, and it's something you're going to worry about all the way up until you get your third awakening. Every single skill revolves around this head end and these contact points, and I think it's so well designed. But that's not the only reason I think Rogue is fun to play. The other reason why is she's one of the fastest characters in this game. Okay, if you play her right, you know, she has so much movement on the x-axis, and she even has some moves that will move her in the y-axis direction as well. She actually has some hopping skills that will hop into the y-axis a little bit too. So you have so much movement. In fact, sometimes she's a little too fast for my likings. You know, especially because you're in your first awakening, your silver stream at all times, you're going to be moving almost too fast sometimes, and you know, you're not even going to be able to cast your skills fast enough. This is how fast I'm talking here. So you got to be really on top of your game to chain all of your skills together. The one drawback that I have about the Rogue is that she deals with some lag issues, okay, and she has a lot of grab type moves, and if your grabs start phasing through, guys, you're just shit out of luck. You do no damage, which is the main complaint a lot of rogue mains have, is that, you know, in raid type content, in places where you have to hit these grabs, if there's any lag, you're going to be freaking pissed because you're not doing as much damage as you should be. But in terms of general gameplay, she handles everything really well, and I love her kit, honestly. I love the hit end system, and I love most of the skills that she uses nowadays. Once upon a time, I didn't like as many of her skills, but she's so much more fluid and fast nowadays. So I think she is definitely an S tier fun character in my opinion. Now we're down to the last three characters, guys. Next one is going to be the male striker. And yes, I do put the male striker above the female striker in terms of fun. I think this character's skill ceiling is immense. It's immense, and it makes it so much more satisfying when I play my male striker. I know I'm not nearly as good at male striker. Okay, he's of all the characters here at the top of the list, my male striker is the weakest. In fact, I don't play him but average at best. Okay, and I miss so many skills of this character. But that being said, I still have so much fun playing this character. Okay, there's not a single day I've signed into this character and was like, oh fuck, I gotta play this guy. No, it's like, dude, I gotta try these combos again. Okay, his whole system is utilizing his flash move in conjunction with his muscle shift to reposition his skills so that they actually hit. Because if you don't do that, guess what? You're going to whiff. And I do that all the time, and it's kind of what separates the men from the boys when it comes to the male striker. Trust me, this is a very high skill ceiling character. Dude, these combos that you can do with the swift move are just so much fun to cast. You know, it's just something that flows really well together, and I think he has an awesome kit, and I think it is worth playing. And if you're one of those guys who says, nah, male striker is too clunky, dude, if you ever call male striker clunky, it's because you are not good enough to make him smooth. He is clunky when you don't know how to play him well, okay? He's really, really smooth when you get really good with your swift move, but until then, he's going to feel clunky, he's going to feel weird, and I think you just got to get good. He's one of those get good characters, and it's going to feel good. It feels good just playing him even on an average level. I can only imagine how good it feels when you get really good with him. Speaking of getting really good with him, guys, my next character is another really, really high skill ceiling character, is the Monk. The Monk is one of my favorite characters in this game. I've said this for a long time. Monk's duck and sway system is just so satisfying to get down. Now, honestly, if I'm being straight with you guys, Duck and Sway is really overrated in terms of its difficulty. Okay, I'm telling you this from a guy who is, you know, maybe a little bit above average with using the Duck and Sway. It's not that hard, dude. It did not take me that long to get a little bit proficient at jump canceling your duck and sway. It's not something you even have to be good at to play the characters. Unlike the male striker and my number one character, which you guys can probably deduce from the last character I haven't talked about yet. Unlike those characters, this character really doesn't need the duck and sway to be fun. You know, you can play this character to a high level without even using duck and sway all that much, aside from the skills that need it or require it. But dude, most of the times that I use duck and sway, it's mostly just for show or to get out of position or reposition, and it's not even necessary. But let me tell you something. Getting good at using that and applying it properly, there is little more satisfying than that. Okay, duck and swaying out of an attack that you know you're gonna die if you don't do it right is so satisfying, and moving around with this character is so satisfying as well. And I think mastering the duck and sway, once you do, you know, you're not going to be able to when you actually play the character. It's going to feel very uncomfortable, but once you do, it really does open up the character in a lot, and it becomes really fun to just do that even when you don't have to, you know? And that's why he's one of my second most fun characters in DFO. And lastly, guys, it didn't take very much, okay? Yeah, the Elven Knight, obviously. Now, let me tell you guys that it was not because the Elven Knight was the most fun character, and that's why I played her, okay? I was gonna play her no matter what. It was gonna be her, or it was gonna be Paladin, or fuck, it could have been Dragon Knight. Basically, guys, AegisRick plays knights. I play knights. I've always played knight. I always play the knight character. When DFO released, I never played Elven Knight. I didn't even know they had a knight character. So when I saw that they had a knight character, I'm like, well, that's my main. I play knights. I'm AegisRick. I play knights. Well, let me tell you something. I got so freaking lucky that Elven Knight turned out to be the way she is, okay? And I know that a lot of people think oppositely. They say Elven Knight is trash because of the way she is. No, in my opinion, I think she is the most fun character in DFO to play. I was going to play this character anyway, but guys, that chain rush system really is the bee's knees, man. It's one of the most punishing systems in the game to get wrong. You know, if you miss your chain rush, you just miss out on like good 60% damage, you know? If you just whiff that chain rush and you don't hit it right, you won't get damage. If the boss keeps moving around, you will not be able to burst, as well as some other people who don't have to worry about that chain rush bar. You won't be able to do a lot of things. But that being said, guys, this character can hang with the best of them if you're good. And I said it from the very start, the most fun characters I find are the ones that have the highest skill ceiling, and Elven Knight has one of the highest skill ceilings in playing her well. And I think just that's what separates her from all of these other characters in this game. I do love a lot of the characters in this game. I dislike a lot of the characters in this game, but only one out of the entire roster do I feel like it's not enough just to be geared with the character. You also have to be good at the game, and Elven Knight does it for me, and I'm really happy. She was a knight character that allowed me to experience that feeling every time I play that character. But anyway, guys, that is my tier list. I went on way longer than I thought I would, but that's all the characters in the game. Like I said, I have them all at level 100. I have played every single one of these guys. I know all of their skills. I don't understand them as well as you guys who play your main characters, but these are the reasons that I find some of these characters are more fun than others. Argue in the comments below. We'll see how much you are able to change my mind. But until next time, guys, I will kiss you nights later.